Welcome to another edition of Radio Influencers, a podcast series we're doing for Radio Update. I'm your host, Andy Meadows. On today's episode, we're going to talk about whether 2026 will usher in the next chapter or the end of radio. But first, let's look at the recent results from our Radio Update polls. In last week's Weekly Wire poll, we played off of Tracy Johnson's Why Your Morning Show Should Start at 5 a.m. or Earlier article and simply asked, what time should morning shows start? 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Clearly, there's a lot of interest in this topic because 1,289 of you responded to the poll, with a vast majority, 73.5%, saying 5 a.m. and just 26.5% answering 6 a.m., the traditional start time of morning shows. So it sounds like most of you agree with Tracy on the 5 a.m. start time. We're recording this on Saturday, literally 15 minutes after our Weekend Wire poll went out, but we've already had nearly 1,200 responses to our question that played off of Ava Hart's Harvesting Your Life for Killer Radio Segments article. We asked, do your on-air talent rely more on show prep or harvesting their life for content? Again, a solid majority, 71.9% said their life, and only 28.1% said show prep. I think that's a good sign. If you have any questions or thoughts after watching or listening, email them to me at andy@radiostationconsultant.com or editor@radioupdate.com, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Every year around this time, we all start thinking about what next year will bring for our industry, for us personally, and specifically for the companies we work for, to see if we should adjust our forecast up or down, or if we think they're pretty accurate. Forecasting has been tough for everyone recently, but it's been particularly challenging for radio because, let's face it, we're not in a growth industry right now. Every day I see another scary headline, layoffs at this group, another group on the verge of bankruptcy, yet another whose stock price has gone from $38 a share to $3 a share. Some of those scary headlines we've written about here at Radio Update. Stephanie Blue's article about Tesla phasing out FM radio, or the article I wrote about the Bezos-backed electric truck company Slate that's making a vehicle that doesn't have a radio at all. It's understandable why so many within our industry, including myself, are worried about what the future will look like for radio, which is why it's so important for those of us who have a passion for it, like anyone who takes the time to read my blog or watch this podcast, to continue fighting to keep radio relevant and profitable. Sometimes I get accused of being too harsh on radio's reluctance to change. A few weeks ago, I published an article asking, where is radio's self-checkout aisle? Where I made an argument for why radio should make it easier for advertisers to buy radio ads online. Now, a lot of times when I write articles like this that touch on hot topics that people have strong opinions about, I get a combination of emails and comments patting me on the back for saying something a lot of them agree with and can relate to, and emails and comments on the other side with people who are a range of slightly annoyed to enraged by what I'm saying. On that specific article, a commenter had this response, which I'd put in the annoyed but not enraged category.
I remember 1995, when the internet was moving to the forefront in every way. The gurus of the day suggested that we are seeing the end of the sales rep, as ad buyers were going to buy direct online. I said, baloney. I was right then, and I am right now. Radio in every way is personal, person to person, programming and sales. Successful ad campaigns require 3 things. 1. Buy the right station and buy it right. 2. Have a product to sell. 3. Create a message that motivates the listener to do something. All of that is very, very tricky and requires the sharing of thoughts and conversation.
Now, I agree with a lot of what that commenter said, and I'm not in any way suggesting that any station should fire their salespeople and replace them with a self-serve ad portal. What I'm suggesting in the article is that they supplement those salespeople with a self-serve ad portal for the percentage of buyers who prefer to buy advertising that way because that's what they're accustomed to. What I vehemently disagree with is the reluctance to even entertain trying something different. I've mentioned it before, but the way we've always done it attitude in radio is incredibly problematic and still way too widespread. Time is running out for our industry. If we're not careful, we are headed down a path to irrelevancy and then extinction, at least in any commercial sense. if we don't make some serious changes right now. In January, I wrote an article asking radio people what they will commit to in 2025. Here are the commitment suggestions I threw out at the time. Spend 15 minutes per day learning how to use a new AI tool that will make me more productive and efficient at my job. Eliminate one bad habit that's eating up my time daily. Organize my workspace for maximum efficiency. Evaluate everything I do to see if there are faster, more effective ways to do each of them. Take more creative risks. Air check talent more often. Start an audio-video podcast or another podcast. Learn how to monetize a podcast immediately by promoting it on the radio, the station website, and social feeds, giving it immediate value. Learn to video edit. Make my studio more video-friendly. Be prepared to capture content throughout the day. Build a home studio or improve my existing home studio. Level up my social media game by taking a class. Talk to a high school or college class about radio. Agree to mentor someone who takes an interest. Start a paid intern program to get more young people into radio. Ask people outside the industry for their honest, unbiased feedback after listening to our stations or purchasing advertising from any of our stations. Learn and try a new sales approach. Engage more with our audience on the phones, on site, on social media, and online. Pick a charity to act as the station's liaison for. Make community involvement a higher priority. Support legislation that impacts radio. Step up our remote setup to bring the magic back to radio remotes and appearances. By the way, I left out adopt a data-driven approach to adding, moving new music, being the first in your market to fully commit to YouTube, and partnering with local influencers. I still believe that if enough of us commit to doing even a few of those things, we'll ensure that the next year or so isn't in fact the end of radio, but a new chapter that sets us on a better path for profitability and sustainability for many years to come. What do you think? What do we need to do to make next year the next chapter of radio? Email me at Andy@RadioStationConsultant or editor@radioupdate.com and let me know. As always, if you have some thoughts you'd like to share on this or any other hot radio topic, submit an article about it by emailing submissions@radioupdate.com. Thanks for listening, watching, and reading. We'll be back next week with a new episode of Radio Influencers. Radio Influencers is a Radio Update production. New episodes are released on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.